Hello, welcome to today's HR Huddle. Welcome back from the Thanksgiving holiday. The holidays are now officially in our midst. I heard Jen say happy holidays earlier today. And I was like, oh my gosh, we are starting that. It is starting to say happy holidays. So Jen and I thought we might talk about this time of year and maybe some things we should pay attention to, just in our communication with our team members, probably with our family members. But it can be kind of a maybe up and down or uncertain time of year. It's supposed to be a festive time of year. There's all kinds of holidays. I don't remember the number, Jen. I don't know if you know how many holidays between Thanksgiving and New Year's, but there's many. And, all kinds of them. And so, but people can be also strange. It could be sad. It could be maybe a little on edge for a variety of reasons. So we just thought maybe we would talk through some of those so that, we can, first of all, raise our awareness to it and maybe not make some assumptions about where people should be during this time of year. Also, as we're running to the year end, whatever that means, this magical deadline called year end, that we're running towards. And so, what that might look like. And Jen, is there anything else you want to say to add to that, to set it up, or why we thought this was important?
No, I think you set it up great, Tamera. I mean, I'll take it from you and I'll just say that I think that we, in an effort to be more inclusive and to give people a sense of belonging and to be sensitive to mental health and overwhelm, that as much as we want the holiday season in our country to be joyous and fun and merry and happy and, full of pixie dust and sparkle and all that stuff. And I definitely want it to be that for every person I meet and for myself too. It isn't always that way. And the first piece of like inclusion and belonging is to recognize that my holidays are not everyone else's holidays. And that just like all mistakes we make in leadership and management, one of the big ones is assuming that my preferences are your preferences. And that means, if I celebrate a certain holiday, that you do too, that if I have a certain belief system, you must also. And if I am trying to achieve a certain feeling or cause certain things to happen in my household, whatever that might be, a visit from Santa or, gifts under the tree or having a tree or any of that stuff. There's a lot of assumptive language we use and a lot of assumptions about each other and about what I'm doing, you must be doing. So I'm going to communicate from a corporate perspective. And I'm going to, be less inclusive when I do. That there will be people who are of other faiths who have different holidays.
Right.
They will have different belief systems and different traditions, and they may have, no real traditions around this time of year. That might be part of their reality. And so we want to make sure that nobody feels made less than or wrong or excluded in the way that we communicate at this time of the year. And it doesn't mean that we can't say like happy holidays, because that's broad and inclusive. And I know that there are some, depending on your belief system, that may have strong beliefs that we should be more religious in our communications inside firms. But I'm going to lean toward more agnostic or inclusive language. That's what I'm going to suggest. So that we do not make people of other faiths or people who have no faith feel that our organization is trying to push something upon them or has an expectation of them that would cause them to hide their true self, not show up as who they are at work, have to appear in some way, to pass. All of those things create a lack of engagement, a lack of loyalty, a lack of motivation and inspiration for those people, because they feel like, man, you don't get me, you don't want to get me, and I don't belong here. And that starts the process of cutting that tether or tie that we have to those people. So we would just encourage us all to be more sensitive about those things at this time of the year.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect place to start. And just acknowledging, where people are at. And I think it is safe to say happy holidays because it is a holiday season, and we just came off of Thanksgiving and we just came, coming up on New Year's as kind of the two bookends, if you will. There's some in January also, but the two big bookends that probably everybody, recognizes, at least across, the country in the United States. So I think that's a good start. I also think you were starting to point to, Jen, like all of the things that we have to do to get ready for whatever our holiday is. So we did whatever we did for Thanksgiving, which, by the way, we completely went off course this year, did not do turkey. And we did a beef brisket, and that was very much simplified it. It was very nice. It was just, us, my immediate family, my kids and my grandson. And so that was very fun to be able to do. But there are a whole bunch of expectations around it. And that adds to a lot of pressure. And it could be family pressure. It could be tradition pressure. It could be society pressure and what we're supposed to do. And I'll just use my holiday as an example, and you can apply it to any of the holidays and whatever the setup is for that. But, for Christmas and getting the stockings and having a tree and, making sure that, we have presents under the tree, and then cookies and doing a cookie exchange, and the list goes on. And so it is just high stress, high volume. And, some of it might not even care about, but feel like I have to do it, peer pressure. But it just adds to a lot of overwhelm. In addition to, for many of the people in your firm, it is a busy planning season. And we're wrapping up year ends, or we're wrapping up audits, or we're wrapping up projects because of budgets, or we're looking at tax planning, and we're trying to meet and get, all of the information out with the clients. And so, let alone sports, we're transitioning from fall to, winter sports, and, transitioning seasons and everything else that is going on. And so it can cause a lot of, stress, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of angst. And so we just want to, be sensitive to that and look at, what the volume is and what do people need to do to manage all of that. And some of it might be, do we need to have some time off? And hopefully we didn't save all of our time off to the year end. We talked about that earlier this year, and hopefully we, got some time off, but there might be some time off because of traditions or because of travel or, whatever it might be. We close between, Christmas and New Year's. So we are, running towards that, landmark there, and, trying to say, what do we have to have prepared so our clients are taken care of, so our internal projects are where we want them to be, so that we can, all our financial, situation and things are done, billing and all of that kind of thing, payroll, everything else is done. So there's just a lot. And so we might need to step back and, help people prioritize, and then say, how is this fitting in with everything else you've got to do in the next 5 weeks, before year end, and what does that look like? And, just maybe have some compassion for that, and, identifying what that might look like and what can push. I said that maybe year end is sometimes a made up deadline. Like, does it really have to be done by year end, or could we carry that into January? Getting agreement, prioritizing, talking to the right people, the stakeholders, that are going to be impacted by it. But, we might not need to do that. We might be able to reprioritize and, talk about what those things are, reset expectations, or progress certain amounts of it, but not the whole thing. And so I think that's important to identify too.
I agree, Tamara. I think we need to just be sensitive to the people that are trying to pull off some massive holiday miracle themselves by having, whatever their traditions are, happen traditionally or close to that, maybe creating some new traditions, and then getting their job done and wrapping up the year. And, for some of you, you have year-end CPE deadlines that might be looming, and certainly a lot of year-end planning for clients. And, some of you have budgeting, and just so many different things going on that we need to be cool to our people and recognize, like, if there was a desire to say, hey, could we fit this in right now? When somebody asks that at the management table, then the rest of you need to say, no, no, we can't fit another thing in, because our people are going to feel overwhelmed and broken by anything else we pile on. And encouraging, if I'm an HR professional inside a firm, I'm going to be encouraging all my mentors, coaches, career advisors to be checking in with their people, to make sure to say, hey, how does your last 5 weeks look for this year? How can I help you? What should we prioritize? What should we say no to or push, as Tamara suggested? That there's like a coaching conversation to have, a check-in with your people that would provide them the place to say, oh gosh, this is what I'm worrying about, or this is what I'm afraid of, or here's what I'm concerned with. And not being sensitive like that right now really can create some resentment. And I'm going to go somewhere that might not be popular, but I have been known to say out there in the world that, I love my husband, Brian, dearly, and I do, and I've been with him a long time, but I also wish I had a wife. As a working mother, I wish I had a wife. And that's kind of a goofy statement or a facetious statement, but it's an illustration that for me and for many of the team at Convergence and for many other working women I know, we feel, all the time a pretty strong pull toward the house and groceries and the refrigerator being cleaned out and laundry done. And yes, we might be able to hire help, and some may be fortunate enough to have a stay-at-home significant other, which is really wonderful if you have that. But I know in this country that's becoming increasingly rare. And I know men are sharing way more of the duties, so I get that. But still, I know that I feel like there's this punch list that comes right now at this time of the year for me. That my kids would be like, the tree's not up, or wait, you didn't decorate the kitchen, or when are we doing our family picture, or here's my Christmas list. There's this punch list of stuff that the mother, I collect that, and I am responsible for it, and I must work through that project plan. And yes, as I have gotten older and wiser, I have reduced the number of rows in the project plan. I have nixed certain things that felt less important, but the stuff that is really valued, I have tried to make happen, and I do enroll others in helping me, but just be sensitive to any of the primary caregivers, single parents, any of those kinds of folks that might be feeling called to a separate massive project list right now through early January. Let's try to at least be present to that, find out what their challenges are, what they're going to be juggling, what they need help with, and just be sensitive to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I think another area, as we're talking about families and, we're just talking about, the personal traditions, and I think is the people in our life that are no longer here, and the grieving that might be happening during this time of year is heightened, during this time of year, whether it's 1 year, whether it's 5 years or a lot longer than that. There's just always that empty chair and that's part of our tradition. So it very much comes up because of that. And so we have to be sensitive to that. And you never know when it's going to come up. Grief is a wave. I know. I'm sorry. you and I could maybe cry here, but
but I was feeling it too. And what I was thinking, Tamara, I'll just say it out loud. I lost my mom 18 months ago. My mommy produced my traditions.
Right. Exactly.
So part of this is like, once she's gone, then that makes it harder. It's much harder.
Yep. Yeah, because she's not there to carry them on. I mean, my dad, he was always one that made cookies with us. It wasn't my mom. And so like that whole tradition was my dad. And so there's that loss, but there's also loss of relationships, or maybe struggling relationships, or other hardships that might be going on. And we don't know that they're going on. We might not even be aware that they're happening. Maybe people aren't as public about it, or, they're, privately dealing with something. And so we have to be aware of that too. And, part of that is just that experience of loss and expectations, again, of how it's supposed to look a certain way. And it doesn't for some people. And so, again, compassion, sensitivity, being aware of that, being careful in our invitations, not to be assumptive, about, who we're inviting. And, I got to go back and read all my stuff now, Jen. But, just like looking at at what we're doing and saying, how can we be, how can we be supportive of each other? How can we lift people up no matter where they are, recognizing everybody could be in a different place and it's okay, to be wherever you are. And so anyway, that's another place that, gets conjured up, I think, in the holidays, big time.
Yeah, Tamara. Part of it is like one of my mother's realities was that she never excluded anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, she invited everybody to the table, anybody to the table, regardless of whether they were sharing in the, the faith of the tradition or the background of the tradition. We live in a military town. I was raised in a military town, and there would be military people alone or, just people that she would meet that were, just going through a divorce, and they and their children didn't have a family locally to go to dinner with or whatever. And we always had extra people, and sometimes quite a few extra people at our table. And so, like, thinking about not just being sensitive to not like foist your stuff on people, not being insensitive and, ignoring that some people may seem a little sadder or a little more burdened, but also not being, excluding, not overlooking the people around you that don't have family locally, that don't have a support system that might provide the love and the warmth and the security and the inclusive feelings that just a simple invitation to come along with you on something. And not trying to, again, burden them with your belief system, but include them in kind of the, the love and the care. And
sharing the experience. Share the experiences with them. Yes.
Yeah, the desire to have the relationship with them. Yeah. Whatever that relatedness might be. And so that's something I'm always sensitive to. I feel like that's part of my mother in me, is looking around and trying to say who around me seems like they don't have a plan. And I ask, like when I'm out running with a run group or whatever, what are your plans? And try to include as many people that I find don't have real plans around the harder days, whatever those days might be of the holiday process. So anyway, just something for us in HR and in talent to be, paying attention to. And I'm not saying HR needs to suddenly have a table for 40, but making sure our leaders are all sensitive to this kind of thing and paying attention. And people that are transplants that have come and moved into your location, maybe they came to you for the job in your town, and maybe they don't have much of a network. I know that, we like to say our firms are like families, and sometimes they really are, and they really are paying attention and looking out for their people. But sometimes it's a little more arm's length than that. And that can make it tough for those people that don't have much support around them at this time of year.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Well, I don't want to scare people away from thinking like, we got to be really careful about what we say and do, because we do want you to celebrate also. And that's something else, to look and say, what are we going to do here to celebrate the holiday season? What are we going to do to celebrate gratitude for all that we've been given? And, what are we going to do to give back to our community? I know so many of your firms, that's just a place you're proud of. And so it could look like, volunteering in a soup kitchen, sponsoring some families. I love the idea of inviting people to a meal. Maybe you host a meal. We do potlucks and things like that. We could host meals. But also we could have some fun. We can still do Secret Santas, that's, secular, it's fun, it's accepted, there's things that we could do. You could do snowball races. I don't know. We could do something virtual, that, to include all of our remote people also. And it could be a combination of those things. It could be a combination of in-person and a combination combination of virtual and, maybe things that we're going to do, in recordings or, sending gifts or whatever it might be. But there are lots of great, fun, even simple, inexpensive ways to celebrate. But there's also great ways. One of the ways to celebrate is giving back and, rallying and, just finding ways that we can, contribute or, give back to our communities. And it might be something we do as a firm. It might be pockets of people in the firm. Again, it can be a combination. I don't think we have to be super attached to it. We'd love to see all the leaders participate somehow in these activities. That would be our request that we would have of the leaders. But, and find the people that like to do this, that are interested, let them generate it. Give them some, guardrails, but then give them the reins and let them run with it. Let them have fun. And, we need some silliness during this time of year also. We need some, reasons to be connected. We need some reasons to look out and find gratitude, for what we have and, what we're able to share with other people as well. So those are some other things that, we might be able to do these next 5 weeks.
I love it, Tamera. I have an idea. Just if we can't put together a big sponsored activity, a group that I have witnessed but haven't participated in yet creates something called blessings bags. And they put together like grocery sacks, those fabric grocery sacks. And depending on your geography, they put together things that would bless somebody who might be homeless or indigent. And, like face wipes and lotion and gift cards for food.
Socks,
hat, scarf, gloves in my locale and yours, Tamera. Lip balm and gum and a toothbrush and a toothpaste and just the basics. But they put these blessings bags together and then they put them in their cars and they drive around, and when they see somebody who needs it, they hand out a blessings bag. And I think it's just the coolest idea. It's almost like an incidental. They have a box in the back of their trunk with a bunch of the blessings bags, and they just hand them out. And then when they're low, they go get more. And I just thought that was the coolest idea and something you can build. I was thinking about bringing it to our remote team even, because I think the remote team can build their own blessings bags.
Yes, love it.
For the supplies, and they can expense it back. It's kind of a cool idea. So just a simple give back that doesn't require that you schedule some place to go serve and all of that, where you might not be able to get a date that everybody could participate in. And I'm sure there's many, many, many other ways to share our blessings. And that does let you get close to gratitude, and gratitude leads to joy, regardless of your circumstances. You can have the lowest of circumstances and still have gratitude and find some joy in that. So I think as talent leaders, we've got to be sensitive and bring these topics forward carefully. Tamera and I tiptoed into this one today because we knew it was going to have awkward moments, perhaps. And we welcome your thoughts on the subject and any additions in social media and any ideas for future topics too.
Yes. And we hope you enjoy the season. So it's great to be with you, and thank you for being with us today. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much.